Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
All right, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I have Denis. Hello, Denis.
Hello, pleased to meet you. Yep.
And I've got Ron as well, a regular contributor.
Yes.
Just before we get underway, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as traditional owners of the land upon which we're presenting tonight, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture of hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, on the desk in front of us is a replica, which Denis had a hand in. So we've got Denis in the studio to take us through a little bit of the about the equipment that's in this replica. And also hopefully take us through a few other stories. So can I get you, Denis, to tell us a bit about your background? That's probably a good place to start.
Yeah, I started as a TIT, technician in training back in 1963 with the PMG, hence the PMG item.
Okay.
And did a 5-year apprenticeship, got called up for national service, did training with the army in signals. So,
okay.
So I had to learn morse and all that sort of stuff, and a whole lot of other stuff. So I did 2 years and survived, thank goodness, and didn't go to Vietnam. It was very interesting, to be honest, but challenging. I came back and moved out of the country maintenance area that I was in into exchange construction, right on the cusp of computerisation of the telecom network, which was very, very extensive in the 70s. So as one of my little side issues, I was also tasked with removing all the equipment at the original Hobart telephone exchange, and was presented with a memorial uniselector. So after 37 years of a whole complicated story, I left with a package and had a bit of a holiday, and then came back and with my brother formed Comstar Systems, which is the premier radio, mostly mobile and radio tower installation group in Tasmania. So, yeah. That's me.
Wow. So are you a tower scaler, or are you a...
No, I kept right out of that. I've been around a lot of towers, but we employed quite a few riggers. Just recently, my son still works there, and I think they had about 70 staff all up.
Wow.
So there's quite a few, and a lot of them are riggers, and a key number of rigger techs, which is a rare person who not only rigs and fiddles to that, but commissions the actual base stations. Or does the upgrades, 5G and all that sort of stuff.
So knows the technology. And,
we did all the initial NBN. I was in charge of the installations at Scottsdale and Midway Point. And got to meet the wonderful Billy Bishop and people like that who came down to wave the flag, sort of thing. So mainly we were old Telstra people. A bunch of us were, not all, and they'd all took packages. And what do? So there's a heap of work. Let's do it. So that's how it started.
So that was mainly wireless towers for NBN. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, all the mobile phone towers for Vodafone, Optus and Telstra. We probably put in 90% of them, I reckon, and no one else is doing them now.
Yeah, right.
What technology would that be? The 2G or 3G?
Yeah, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. They've all finished the 5G. They built the emergency radio network that's got ambulance, fire, SES, etc. Did TV towers, a big TV tower up near Wynyard that's probably 100 metres or more.
Wow.
A traditional lattice tower, guide tower, that from scratch.
Imagine that in your
things
backyard.
like that. It was a hell of a job to see it done in a fast video sort of thing. I've done in stage, you see this tower sort of go up and see the ants going up and down. It's a big job. And
so that was all manually, segment after segment after segment?
Yep, that's the only way they can do them. Basically, they're too difficult. So 2 cranes and working and in a farmer's paddock.
Wow. Okay.
I've had a few things over the years.
Okay. So would come back to the equipment at hand.
Yes.
What we'll do is explain what we're looking at here. That's probably the easiest thing here. This is a replica that I put together using equipment from Denis, using the line relay. We've got a line relay from Denis. We've got a sounder relay from Richard, VK7RO. We've got a Morse key which has come from my collection, all put together in something vaguely like it would have been.
Yes, in the real world. Back in the day.
So take us through.
Basically, when the telegraph first started, this was the communication. It was Morse code over basically single wire, stretching across the country up over one. Started off with just small sail, then they did Hobart to Launceston, then they extended it to, say, Mount Nelson, so they could alert people of ships coming in, things like that. So it was just a key thing initially, but then now time flat, there was like 150 telegraph stations scattered around the state. But basically you had key operators sending messages, and at the other end of the line you'd have a person listening and noting it all down, and the old records, they're all done on a piece of paper, and if you were the one sending the message, you told them what you wanted, they wrote it down in a 2-piece thing. You got one half, they got the other. It was kept on record, and there are some good records in the archives showing classical messages from the day, talking about all sorts of things. So these were scattered around, and this one in particular was part of a backup emergency link that went from the GPO to the original Hobart Telephone Exchange on the corner of Harrington and Sandyboat Road.
Okay.
And it was a backup if everything fell over, which back in the day when they first had transmission equipment, for example, or even just everything was running over open wire lines, this was a last resort, and you could still get that to work with one line and an earth return.
Yeah.
So for emergency details, this was the way to go. So it was kept for a long, long time, and it was only pulled out physically, I don't know that it's been used for a long time, but physically removed from the building in about 2002.
Wow.
So that was a long time from when it would have originally gone in. The building was built in about 1928.
And so this was the hotline between the GPO and the exchange?
Yes, and there would have been other links though that were patchable from the second floor. Would have been like Mount Nelson or wherever, anywhere important. The Army, for example, down South Arm, etc. Okay. There would be links going around, but generally was connected to the GPO because that was still the kind of the head of the PMG, if you like, the GPO. So that's where it was, and even though the technology by this stage that it was pulled out was all microwave and lots of other stuff.
Digital,
it still remained as a backup, and primarily because of wartime thinking.
Okay.
So they always kept multiple redundancy backups of everything all the way through, particularly in the war years, both wars. And then we were still using Morse code in the Vietnam conflict as a backup. Again, with radio comms failed. So all of us poor Nashos were taught in signals
operators.
We had to pass our Morse exams. Yeah, so
there you go.
So they were still there, and the radios that we used at the time, the HF radios, had a little pop-out miniature Morse key about this size. That, you pulled out, and if things weren't working, you'd still key away.
Well, there you go.
Much with lots of RF burns, but you know, it was exciting.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So. Yeah, there were lots around. There were up through the centre, if you like. So there would have been a station, a repeater station, if you like. At I've had them written down here. So it would have been Bridgewater, Brighton, Oatlands, Campbelltown, Cleveland, Perth, and then an extension to Lowhead and extension to Mount Nelson. So that was 1857. So. Because they wouldn't work over the full distance, obviously.
No. So you had a repeater station.
Had to have a repeater. And generally, originally, it was an actual operator, was the repeater, not a electronic repeater. So some guy would sit there, write out the message and then resend it again.
And then resend it. Yeah. So this particular relay, the things I read about this particular relay and the use of this, it's very much inserted within the line. So you had a local circuit, if you like, that was not connected to the line. So you had local batteries, you had local sounder, you had, and this was the main line was still intact.
That's correct. And basically this was just daisy chained up the links on this side, sort of thing, and then each side would be listening to this. Most people could hear. They didn't really need the sounder unless things were very weak, as I understand. And then you would be fine-tuning this and you would only be getting a little clickety, and it was hard to read, so you need a sounder to primitive amplifier.
Well and truly.
Yeah, so you could hear it properly. And these were sometimes, in the example of, say, the smaller towns, Oatlands, this is actually in the post office. It's not in an exchange or anywhere like that, and it could very well be in an environment that's not that quiet, sort of thing. It's probably in the postmaster's office or somewhere, or behind
or near
the
front counter or something.
Not always ideal. So hence, pretty much they required a box to cut through the noise.
Well, and my reading, they called this a resonator.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
which is you're right. It's an amplifier.
It is.
It's effectively an amplifier. So on the bottom of the sounder relay, when I mounted it in this box, the bottom of the sounder relay actually has brass bars that you tighten so that the brass is up against the wood. So that the vibration actually goes through the wood. And if you held the resonator up with it connected, it would just be a little click.
It'd be this similar.
Correct. Whereas sit it on something and it becomes quite a bit louder. So
you can imagine over line losses, particularly maybe some of the cold weather we've had recently, a lot of frost on those open wire lines. there's going to be a lot of losses.
Well and
so
truly.
the guys would be twiddling this, and it wouldn't go nice big clack like that. It'd be a little tiny tickety tick, and you almost wouldn't be able to hear it. You know, see guys go like this. Listen with their ear cocked over the thing, trying to listen to the signals.
Richard Rogers, the similar story. The person who the sounder came from. Richard talked about. He said the line from Launceston to Smithton, so across the top, across the northwest. He said there was an old PMG guy from Launceston who told him that the current on that line used to be 40 milliamps, but he said when it rained it was 80 milliamps. Those sort of conditions and the lines and you would be constantly. And the thing I love about this equipment is everything's adjustable.
That's great.
All the gaps are adjustable. Where these coils sit are all adjustable. The tension on the spring is all adjustable. The same with the sounder. Everything's adjustable.
That's right. So move the coils in closer. You could adjust everything. The other thing that we had, apart from the current, in the cities, there was a real problem with the electric trams. There was so much induced noise into the earth system that it was causing all sorts of havoc with all sorts of equipment. And if you had a weak line coming in from, I don't know, Ballarat or somewhere, they apparently had real trouble. They weren't listening to trams. They were
trying to discern what was real traffic and what wasn't.
Clean up the signal. Pretty much like early radio. You know, cleaning up the signal was the key.
Is it fair to say there's no plastic on it either?
There is absolutely no plastic. And all of the wire. The interesting thing here, I've probably done in the replica the grand Vopar with using enamelled copper wire here, because all of the wire in the relay and the sounder coils is all double coated copper, double coated cotton, copper wire, and because the concept of there being enamelled copper wire was not a concept in those days. But anyway.
It looks nice.
It looks...
To do with the sound as well, like a heavy cast iron base,
which that
solid timber, and the original keys are like this, only the one that matched that had 4 brass ferrules, if you like, for the screws to go through to drive it hard, because you didn't want this moving about either. And it all added together, and they put a lot of design and thought into it. Like these things last forever. Beautifully made brass pieces.
So what are we talking about from an era point of view? Like when would have this gone into the exchange? Have you got some idea?
In that exchange, it would have gone in 1929 for sure.
Okay.
At the same time they built the exchange.
Okay.
And it would have been part of the backup, if you like.
Yep.
And part of, these newfangled exchanges, which actually copped a lot of resistance. Believe it or not, the first telegraph link to Launceston copped a lot of flack. People didn't want it. And there were notices, I went out somewhere or other, in the Mercury type of thing to say, we don't want this
newfangled technology.
Everything was working perfectly, so nothing's changed.
Takes a day to get a message from Hobart to Launceston, a couple of days.
And sure enough, it probably was a lot of reliability problems with everything. So everyone still said, look, we know this works. We must have that as a backup. And at times when things didn't work electrically by the old exchange, somebody could get on here and this would rattle away in the post office to say, sorry, it's okay, we fix it. A bit of maintenance and fault control would have been done over that. Or they didn't have any other way to do it.
Dennis, did you say 1929 before?
Yeah.
So we're coming up to 100 years.
Yes.
Well and truly.
And
not
this
that far
would
away.
be older than that even, probably, way back to when, 1880 or something.
Late 1800s was where I was sort of landing with...
Yes. This was just a brand new bit that was put in with the exchange, because you could see it had never been, probably almost never been used. It was still pristine when we pulled it out out of the little module, little soundproof room, basically, where it was kept.
I love it. And I assume that room doesn't exist anymore. It's...
No,
okay.
it's a
long
hotel
gone.
now.
Oh,
yeah, of course, yes.
Of course.
And well, we pulled it out. Back in just after I come back from National Service.
Yep.
And that's when everything was starting to be removed. And much to everyone's disgust, the equipment like the old uniselector and that, we just had a big bin outside. It was all on the first floor, and we were just pulling it out and throwing it out the door.
Apart from this one, which if I can work out where my mouse is, this is one of the problems with this particular system. There we go. If I can do a transition here, so this, I'll zoom it over a little bit. So just describe what we're looking at here.
So that's a line switch or rotary switch selector called a uniselector, and in the original Strowger phone system that was put in Hobart, for example, and all over the world, every line had one of those. So every telephone line, that was your uniselector, and its job was to, as soon as you picked up your handset and you put a loop across the line, that would rotate those fingers, if you like, would rotate around the connectors and find you a spare selector, which will give you dial tone and allow you to start dialing.
I love it.
And then there would be stages after that to go through the numbering. But so that would just very fast. The worst thing was they were fairly high maintenance.
Okay.
There was a lot of cleaning had to be done around the arc of the contacts.
The contact,
yes, you know what they'd be like.
Yep.
And the pawl with a little ratchet on there had to be lubricated with a substance called DAG, which was oil and graphite mixed together, like a black oily goo.
Oh, that would be awful.
So because they rotated so fast, oil would just throw off.
Yep.
So it was a bit sticky, and then the shafts had to be oiled, things like that. So
it's very mechanical.
And when you were a young trainee like I was, one of your jobs was to sit in front of those racks hour after hour cleaning. So and you had to take the line off the air to do it, of course, because you couldn't do it while it was kicking. So those couple of fingers here, you would put plug a little oscillator in there, and then the poor old person on the end pick up, I can't get dial tone, you know. Frustrating as it was. So
I love it. And so this particular one you were saying earlier was presented to you.
Yes, the old, at the time when the removal exchange was a big event in Hobart because they've been there for such a long time in operation, and any of the old key workers that were working in exchange and this team that I was with who removed it all got presented with a memorial uniselector, which everyone was pretty chuffed about, really. And it was a lot more complex than a full selector, which was a bit chunky. It didn't sit well on the... My wife didn't enjoy that on the mantelpiece for a long time. Why is that still there? And you would have thought she'd be more sympathetic because she was a telephonist upstairs.
Oh, well, there you go. I worked with a number of the old telephonists from that building.
Scary.
when I first started with TMD, it was TMD at that stage. It was anyway. That's another story.
Yes.
So you had there the number of subscribers to give us a bit of an idea.
Yeah, they were the number of telegraph officers. For example, when they first started, you could count them up. You could count in Mount Nelson. It wouldn't be many, about 10 or a dozen. But by 1892, there were already 149 telegraph stations scattered around. And within another year, there was another 50 or something. Every little town ended up with its own telegraph station. So there would be that many people trained up to operate the system and pass the messages.
Correct. And all those relay stations between and all sorts of things. And
there would need to be backup. There was lots of old stories when you start hunting up about the postmistress at somewhere or another who was the operator on the telegraph, and a bit of a legend.
And all the stories that go on with it.
Yeah.
But just a total cost of construction, £64,765.
Yep.
In 1892. Oh my goodness.
And run like 2,000 miles of wire. You imagine all the poles and what have you. The original telephone exchange, the built on Sandy Bay Road there, called Sandy Bay Road, I saw the approval for that, £125,000 to build the 5-story exchange, which was, it was probably a big fortune in the day.
That was huge. That was absolutely huge.
So, I don't know what else is
fantastic.
On there. Interesting.
Well, there's the original poles.
Yep.
So
that's a really, really old top pole, and you can see there's, if you count them up, there's probably, I don't know, 2. That's, you need 4 of those for 2, so that's one line.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's a one with no wire. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 circuits. Is that right?
I think actually it's probably,
Murray.
probably 5.
Can we have a question from the gallery?
Yes.
This selector that you just had on there
Uniselector,
said
yes.
it came from Hobart Central.
Yes, Hobart Central Telephone Exchange.
Is that the GPO?
No, that
Bathurst
was
Street or Davy Street?
Davy Street.
Corner of Sandy Bay Road and Davy. Yeah.
Oh right, so the
Yeah.
old. So what's now the mantra?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. First floor.
We got a peanut gallery out there.
Yeah. So if you had a pair of wires, that'd be like one circuit there,
Yeah.
and another circuit.
Okay.
It's another circuit, and so on. And on those would be just direct lines
Yep.
with probably telegraph on them. But
Yep.
say somewhere between Hobart and Launceston, you might have had 10 lines or 8 lines, 5, whatever. Or it could be a smaller town. Say if it's Oatlands in the middle, there might have been 4 going to Launceston.
Yep.
There was 1 going out to Parrata,
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
on.
Yep.
So they would be all on the aerial lines. But this was still the old backup, which was a single wire.
I didn't show that.
Yeah.
There's a key to this photo, which is this insulator down here.
Yeah, which is only 1 wire,
So
not a pair.
So single wire and earth return.
Yes,
earth
which was
return.
the old original telegraph backup.
So this was telephony
Yeah.
versus telegraphy.
Yes.
And so there was still a line. So how long was that line still there between Hobart and Launceston?
I believe I can remember it when I came to Tasmania in about 1955.
Yeah, okay.
You
So
used
it
to
was
see
still
the poles.
Yeah.
They were a bit more like that.
Yeah,
but it still
yeah.
had a single. See the hook there?
Yeah.
That was the closest I could find. There was always.
So there would have been an
there
insulator
was
screwed
still
onto
an
that.
insulator sitting on that with
Yep.
a single wire backup on it. And as you drove up the highway, you'd see all these poles
with
one
the-
after another.
With this little single.
And this separation's wide apart.
Yep.
This was probably the era when we first had some transmission equipment,
Okay.
a 12-channel transmission equipment, so they could 12 channels per
On
thing.
per-
But they
per-
needed quite a bit of isolation, otherwise they got a lot of interference between the
Yeah. Okay.
systems.
Okay.
So they were very far apart as opposed to the old telephony wires.
No.
Well, I didn't know how close they were.
Crosstalk. No,
Yeah.
wasn't a concept.
Yeah. So there were 3-channel systems went over these wires out to country places,
Okay.
and 12-channel were going up and down Launceston. And there might have been 4 or 5 of those.
Occupying frequencies up to 30 kilohertz. Well, there you go. And 12 channels, so 36 to 140 kilohertz. Well, there you go.
So next time out driving in the country,
Yeah.
keep an eye out, see if there's any of those poles around,
Yeah, they
and
were-
see if there's
There's
There
still
might
a.
be
might
somewhere.
still be some
Well, there probably
out
is.
in the boondocks.
A
They
bit-
suffered a bit of a sad fate, a lot of them, because young blokes just love to shoot those insulators.
Yes, okay.
And that was a big maintenance problem. They were high maintenance, these things. They were
Yeah.
affected by lightning, by
Oh,
storms,
anything,
by
yeah.
birds,
Yep.
you name it, and crazy people with guns. So
Possums.
possums, yeah. Although the possum tended to just sleep on them. He didn't get zapped like he does with the power.
With power, yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, but they were, imagine how many poles. Even in my day, when it's 1963, which we were well on
Yep.
past here, we're certainly in the era of the 12-channel systems. PMG were training 50 technicians and 50 linesmen every year. That was in standard because it was very labour intensive in those days. Yeah.
Well, and can I just say there's a bit of a linkage because those tables that are out there are from the training school.
I spotted them straight
He
away.
was talking about them, yeah.
And we used to have the chairs from the training school, but they were very uncomfortable, so we got rid of them.
Yeah.
If you look underneath it, it might say Denis.
Oh no, well, or have a PMG stamp on it or something, I reckon.
I'm sure I probably adjusted some switches and dials on those many times.
Well, that's that. No, well, that's exactly so. Actually, that's a good point. We can we can. There we go. So what we're talking.
Herman used to run the place, and me and Herman, I used to do maintenance there on the microwave link every month, and I was always there. Things were always playing up,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
in one of the old halls at the showgrounds when I first started. It was there, bitterly cold.
No air conditioning. No
nothing. It had one heater, one big strange old oil heater in there to heat the whole building, which didn't work, of course. But those desks were there then even, so that was 1963. So.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, I've just got to I've got to keep because we're streaming out on a couple of streams actually because we're streaming out on the Reast YouTube stream. We're also streaming out. We're cross streaming out to the Ham Radio DX stream as well.
Okay.
So we're on two channels. So hello to Andy. Now Andy's in the UK. He's a regular listener. We've got Ken Duffy who is in evening all from Melbourne. So he's across in Melbourne for the Alara 50th anniversary, which is in Melbourne this weekend. He's normally in New Zealand. We've got Dan Hill, VK3DNO, VK4DNO. We've got Dave Goodrick, who's up in South Hobart. We've got Mark, I think that's FMAC, so he's at Dodgers Ferry. We've got Peter Young from Melbourne. So Peter Young. Now, Peter is an ex-maritime radio operator. So the key was made by a company named Kent in the early 1900s for use on railways and the emerging PMG.
Yes.
So there you go. So he's a bit of a historian. We've got Darren, VK4GEO, so Queensland. David Bannister, DBX, hello. And Phil Groom, of course. Now Phil's ex-Telstra. Phil... fascinating discussion. I did a tour of Central as an apprentice tech in 1982. Yes, and Nick VK3NIK and Harry, who's out in our club room. So there you go. That is fantastic.
Oh, that's good. Oh, it's so great to see it like this anyway.
Well, and Denis, we do a number of things like we're not doing it this year, but for the Festival of Bright Ideas, which is the Science Week event down at PW1, we've been there quite a few times. Kids love colour and movement, so to have something that actually they can work. We've got a whole lot of morse decoders that they absolutely love, and that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking about this from a demonstrator exchange point of view. Because they can pick up the telephone, dial an extension and it'll ring and they can see all of this moving and working. Yeah. So, and I fortunately, I've got a later version of this, so it's not quite this old, but it's a later version. So we can have two numbers.
Yes, yes.
You can dial two numbers. Yeah. Well, I have three phones, but hey. And the ringer units and all of that sort of stuff, and the ringer and the dial tone. So I'm madly I have a whole lot of PMG training books.
Oh, right, yes. I wondered about them.
that have all of the circuit diagrams of the exchanges and the different configurations. And now you had a fantastic story about Strowger.
Oh yes, Strowger. Yes.
Strowger.
Yes.
About how he came up with his version of the.
Yeah, well, he's a well-known inventor of the whole step-by-step exchange system, which was adopted around the world, copied by many, but his gear ran for a long time, but his motivation, he was an undertaker in Kansas City, and back in the mid or early 1800s, and he was very suspicious of the ladies in the telephone exchange. When somebody called up to ask for the undertaker or an undertaker, and let's face it, in those days there were still 6 guns, I think, in Kansas City, so there's probably a lot of calls that somebody was slipping them some remuneration to send the calls their way. So he thought, this is not good enough, how can I get round it? And he said, we need a way for people to call me directly. And he invented this. It's truly amazing. It's a hell of a story. So he not only invented that, he invented the bi-emotional switch, the one that stepped up vertical and then went rotary, either automatically or under control of the dial.
And they're phenomenal to watch.
Fascinating, really. You've only got to watch old black and white British movies. They nearly always, when something was happening, they'd switch to the exchange, you know, and people probably looking at these saying, "What the hell is that?"
What is that?
So, but yeah, they were quite fascinating, and they had all different variations for little tiny branch exchanges, which were either UAXs, urban automatic exchanges, RAXs, which are rural automatic exchanges, very small scale. But of course, a lot of them, when they changed to 5-digit, for example, numbering scheme, a lot of these little places only had 3 digits. So I'm not sure who invented them, but they invented a digit absorbing switch.
Okay.
So when they worked out the numbering scheme, say, well, nobody's ever going to dial any more than 6, 2, 3, 4, something from here. So the switch would suck up the 6 and the 2 and the 3 before it connected them to a switch with some dial tone. So
they would continue to use their 3-digit exchange.
Yeah, but it had gobbled up the first few digits, or the first 2 digits.
I love it.
Yeah, so there's lots of crazy inventions and ways of splitting lines to have more than one, even though it was automatic. A bit like the old sort of, party line, but to do that with on a fixed line, on electronic lines or electrical lines. So there was all sorts of things, and then there was the businesses wanted them. So there was a whole heap of smaller ones that you could fit in an office for some solicitors who had 10 extensions and things
so
like
that was
and
the
they were little miniature ones.
Forerunner to the POBX.
Yes, yeah.
And
they called them the same funny name before they were called POBX, but it was exactly the same. Private automatic branch exchange. So it was a big heyday because originally you had nobody basically with a private phone back in telegraphy days. Everybody wanted a phone.
And wanting a private line.
Yes, wanted a private line. They didn't like being listened into either by the telephonist or by a party line. So they all wanted their own line. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So a big boom.
I love it. And these days, nobody's without a mobile phone.
Exactly. Nothing's changed much.
Oh dear.
Anyway,
that is fantastic. Thank you, Denis. And I now know a lot more about about the relay that we've included in the replica. So so it's fantastic, and it's amazing when you put out a bit of a call to people and say, I'm looking for a sounder relay, or I'm looking for this bit of kit or whatever else. It just appears out of somebody's collection. Yes. So it's
the sort of thing. Well, I couldn't bring to throw it away, even though I had it for a long time, but had no real use for it. Just as a memory, and it was so good when after talking to Ron, and I thought, I think you guys might be interested. Yeah. Sure enough,
there you go.
It's found a home.
I love it. I love it.
Found a good home.
Yes. and we've come up with vaguely an emphasis on vaguely period replica.
And to all intents and purposes, that's pretty much what it was. And there would have been a mixture of gears. Would have been different keys and stuff scattered around, and wouldn't have all been new. Sort of matching stuff. It would have been pretty much like that, I think.
Because it's interesting, Denis. I did a history piece on. We called him Pop Medhurst, I don't know whether you know that name, but
Medhurst, yeah.
if Frederick Medhurst. Now we're talking about the late 1800s and early into the early 19th century. He was very involved with the original exchange. So this would have been the one up to 1929, I suspect.
Yep.
But he was a bit of an inventor. He was an amateur radio person, and he came up with a scheme of being able to run telephony and Morse code over the same line. Over the same line. And ended up coming up with a field telephone unit. That was one of the things that actually made him quite a bit of money because he had a worldwide patent on it. And the field telephone had a switch on it that you could go from keying to telephony. And there's a couple of those telephones still in existence. But it was the era leading up to, I suspect, that 1928 when they installed this sort of equipment. But absolutely fascinating bit of history. And he was one of the ones with he built his own spark transmitter. And when the Federation of Parliament, so the Commonwealth Parliament in 1900, and they had Parliament was opened by the Duke and Duchess of York. The Navy ships that came with them were fitted with spark transmitters, and he was down on Blinking Billy Point with his homebrew spark transmitter, sending the Morse code and getting replies back and all sorts of stuff. But he was a real inventor into the sort of the precursor to.
Yes.
But this would have been the sort of equipment he would have been using.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
it's just that sort of era. So absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Well,
very good.
Thank you very much,
Not a
Denis,
problem.
and thank you for coming along and giving us a bit of insight into what we're using.
Few gaps,
Yeah, fantastic.
All right.
Thank you very much,
All right.
and thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Thanks for organising that.
You can have that if you want it.
Oh, fantastic.
There you go.
And what I'll do is once we've got the demonstrator exchange up and going, we might get you back in and you can talk to us about telephone exchanges.
I might have to bring my tools in and adjust it.
bit of graphite grease and
Gag.
bit of gag. Sorry, bit of gag.
Well, we kept that for donkey's years, because it's so good that oil. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, and the other oil was British. It was something or other number 2.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was specific, and you had to use that. Oh, gee, you get shot if you use anything else.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else
thank
to
you.
send in?
Yeah, Murray, if you could, that would be great.
Thank you,
Thanks, Denis. Thank you. So, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and absolutely fascinating. I just mind officially blown. So, what I thought I would do here is we had Murray in the studio last week, and Murray had a wonderful large top loading coil for his 160 metre short vertical. Now, that was for a particular contest.
Oh, well, no, but I used a particular contest to test it because I needed some people on 160, so which was the Trans-Tasman?
Correct, low band. So 160, 80, 40 with the 3 bands. I have to say probably 80 was the go.
I had a quick listen on 80, and there was a lot of activity on 80, a lot.
Yeah, and I have to be honest and say I made most of my contacts on 80.
I didn't actually have a working aerial on 80, so I was only on 160.
And how did you go?
23 contacts.
Fantastic.
From a location that I've never had any contacts on 160 metres.
Now, you talked about one of the issues that you have is a very large and very powerful broadcast radio station.
Yes.
Not that far from you. How did that
go? Well, the second harmonic of that is on 1872, which is very close to whatever we're trying to operate. And that was about 20 over 9 and quite wide.
Okay. When you say wide, how wide?
Look, on 1850, I was still at about 10/9 background noise. At 1847, I was about S8, S9.
Okay.
And sort of peeled off those. Below 1847, I was good.
You still had 23 contacts, though.
Yeah.
And where were those contacts?
VK2, VK3, VK5.
Okay.
And a few locals.
Okay. No ZLs?
No, sadly, no ZLs.
No. I got a few ZLs, but they were on 80 metres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any 160 working across to there or not, but certainly the two, I didn't hear any.
Yeah.
And I had a good crack.
Okay.
Because I wasn't on any other band, so.
No, and as I said, every time I went back to 160, you were there, calling CQ. So
I had some really good signal reports from VK5 and VK3, like 10/9.
Okay.
But sadly, my background noise is just a bit high.
Filters? Thinking filters?
And yes. Well, the trouble is to filter at 1872 from 1850 is like quite a sharp filter required.
Yeah.
However, I have been just consulting with the Brains Trust out there, and they've suggested that perhaps bringing the general background noise down from a receiver overload perspective might actually help things. So
correct. Yeah.
We've just been looking online at some filters that.
Another thing may be having a bit of a play with where your ground radials are.
Yes. I think there's just an over. I mean, we're talking 2.7 kilometres to 10 kilowatts. So
did you do a measurement, a voltage measurement?
No, I didn't really.
That might be a bit scary, actually. But
yeah, we might look. I've left all the ground radials in place, and the antenna's fully assembled, just sitting on the front patio, so it's not too hard to put back up. So
bring out an AC voltmeter, RF AC
well,
voltmeter.
yeah.
I've got one of those.
Hayden was talking about bringing the spectrum analyzer down and having a bit of a look, so I'm like,
might have to put an attenuator in there though. But yeah,
sure.
Okay. Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, success.
Great.
I
love it. And how did you find tuning the antenna?
Yeah, so look, I ran out of time, to be honest. I could easily move the frequency of it back and forth, and I got it tuned up on about 1845 in the end.
Okay.
Just by changing the lengths of the
capacitive hat.
Yeah, and I meant to ask you about that because you said yours were quite short.
Relatively.
And I do recall you saying that you actually folded them back as opposed to cutting them off. And I've done a bit of research on that. Well, actually research. I watched one of Callum's videos.
Oh, Callum, yeah. No, he's good.
And he's suggesting that the effect of folding them back is only about a third as effective as cutting them off. So,
well, I might have to cut them off.
Well, no, but don't cut anywhere near off as much as you can fold it back.
No, just fold back a little bit.
So mine ended up coming back to just on 3 metres.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Much shorter than that.
Yeah, but we also folded back.
Correct.
Be interesting to know what the full length of them is.
And I reckon it would probably be pretty close to 3, maybe 4 metres.
Yeah, so...
I'll do some measurements.
And to be fair, he wasn't talking about capacitive top hats, he was talking about folding back driven elements on vertical antennas.
Yeah, okay.
So there's that too.
Same effect though. Same effect.
Well, possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no,
160 metres is looking bright.
Well, should have some contacts on it, yeah.
RD.
Absolutely, that's
good crack on RD.
Well, this was the to see if I could actually operate from this location, with something. I mean, I put up some dipoles and things past, but they were just complete and utter failure.
Yeah. Okay.
So
160 metres is a challenging band. Can I just say, I've been through probably 3 or 4 antennas with 160 metres and absolutely got very frustrated in doing it.
This would be the only 160 metre antenna that hasn't been an end-fed half wave that I've made contacts on, I think.
Okay.
Because just from where I used to live, I don't know if you remember where I was down in
it's Goodwood. Yeah.
On the waterfront.
Yeah.
So I had the up under the eaves of the house, which was probably 5 metres above the ground.
Okay.
And then it ran down to a little short tower in the backyard that was maybe 6 metres high.
Okay.
And then from there I went across the bay to, literally across the bay, to a tree on the other side.
How long?
Well,
that would have
80
been
metres.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, it was only like 10 metres to the.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We only put it up when we need to use it.
Okay. It's not silly if it works.
Not silly if it works. I wish I'd take it. I wish I could find a photo of that. I'd have put that in the presentation. I did look for it, but.
Oh, truly. I love it.
Yeah, so it's the first purpose-built antenna for 160, and it seems to have worked.
Cool.
And
I love it.
Quite. It could be quite a. You could put up portable, no problem. It takes a bit,
truly.
I mean, the ground plane takes a bit of putting down. If you had going portable, and you had room, you would have longer radials than I have and less of them.
Yeah. Slightly less exercise.
Yeah, but the consensus of all my YouTube research is that you need at least 2 wavelengths of radials on the ground.
Yeah.
And in my yard they had to be quite short, so they had to have lots of them.
Correct. So that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if longer ones would have been better, but
no. Okay. Fantastic.
It works.
Thanks, Murray, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
Excellent. Well, have you put your log in? Have you?
I put my log in. Yes, I did put my log in, and I even made some soapbox comments about that because I was disappointed that it seems that the powers that be have changed the classification somewhat so that you can now no longer use a VKCL log to put in there because the Cabrillo file fails when you upload it now. Because there's no phone anymore. It's got to be SSB.
No, correct. And I think I manually changed that.
Yes. Well, I did too.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's a bit petty. So I had to.
No.
I mentioned that because I'm like that's.
Yeah. No. All right. Okay. Fantastic.
Anyway. Yeah.
Thank you. I love it.
Pleasure.
Another person, and I supplied some wire to Richard, so we will have another short.
And most of his bits are already built. I think he's only really got.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know where the other one of those antennas are.
I don't know where the fourth one ended up.
It might have been Paul that's got it.
Oh.
Or Steve.
Okay. One or the other. We'll
Yes.
find out.
They both seem to think that they might have one. I'm like, well, there's only one more, so.
And there was only 4.
Yeah,
it was an
that's right.
Adcock direction finding antenna, ex-military Adcock direction finding antenna. Okay. All right.
Cool.
Fantastic. Thank you, Murray. Now, we've got a little bit on. Hayden did a fantastic video. Let me go to here. Hayden did a fantastic video. There we go. On the Bluebird satellites. And I dug out some information because we, back in September, about September 2024, we did know about the Bluebird satellites, and in fact got the FCC authorization and order from AST, the satellite company, and put together some information around which actually went to the IARU. So for those who don't know, the International Amateur Radio Union Region 3 conference, which was in Bangkok in Thailand on the 4th to the 8th of November 2024. Now we got together some information just to let them know that this was in with the FCC. The FCC had approved it, and that they were using 430 to 420 to 430. 430 to 440 for some of their tracking their control signals and their telemetry. They in their submission they actually say it was put in on a no hazardous interference basis. Now that doesn't help if you're a secondary service, which we are in Australia, but they did put some caveats in there that if there was issues around the world, because one of the key issues here is the FCC certainly made this order, and which they have every right to under the radio regulations, 4.4 of the radio regulations, it actually says that any country has sovereign rights over their spectrum. However, as you quite rightly have probably worked out, there is some issues where there is a satellite involved, because a satellite is not, unless it's a geostationary satellite that stays over that particular jurisdiction, it is travelling around the world and potentially can affect all sorts of things, which Hayden highlights very well in his video. So we submitted that to the IARU Region 3 conference, and Peter, and I think Peter VK7TW, who is actually on the chat and is watching, he sent me these documents, which is fantastic. Thank you, Peter. And I dug out the original FCC order and authorisation. So that was submitted to let at least IARU Region 3 administrations know what was coming. The other thing that happened out of this was there was a resolution out of that conference that the Intruder Watch service, the IWS, the IARU IWS service, which is the monitoring service for intruders into our amateur bands, the terms of reference was updated to include both the amateur service and the amateur satellite service. So it enabled that particular service to be able to monitor interference caused by things like the Bluebird satellites. Now, that original FCC request was for 5 satellites. Now, actually, I've got here... there we go. The Bluebird 1 to 5, which is the amateur satellites, sorry, not the amateur satellites, they're professional satellites for connectivity in a whole range of bands, for cell phones, for all sorts of devices. The Bluebirds 1 to 5 was what this original request to the FCC was all about. Whether they include 70 centimetres in the other 200 odd that they're doing is anybody's guess. Hayden said to me just before we came on here that there was over 2,000 submissions by amateurs to the FCC in relation to the next request by AST. So fantastic. It gets it out there. It hopefully will get them to think again about what they're actually requesting. So watch this space, the Bluebird satellites, and thank you to all of those amateurs out there who have actually put in a submission to the FCC. It's fantastic. Now, off that topic, I've got, just very quickly, how are we going for time? Okay, we'll finish off with, for those people who may or may not have seen, there is an application out there, and I'll put a link in the video description, to a little application called HamClock. Now, HamClock is an application that runs under Linux. It does at this point only run under Linux. Can run on a Raspberry Pi. I've got it running on Ubuntu. And if we go to somewhere here, there we go. That's the image from my shack. I have a number of screens in my shack. This is one of them, and this is running HamClock. And you can see, you can compile it to have these little windows. There is a whole bunch of different structures and different screens that can appear. You can configure these and click on the ones you want, and they cycle through in each of these panes. You can see this is one of the moon. This is the space weather, so this is the sun image at the time. There are the live spots that are coming up on each of the frequencies. There is the MUF, I think that is, NCDXF. There is a little bit around where there is activity at the time. This particular screen is the main screen in the middle, which can be, if you've got clusters that you frequent and you feed information in and out of, then there is cluster information that will appear on this screen, and you can configure all sorts of different different views here. You can see I've got a grey line view, and there's a couple of other particular areas that I'm focusing on. If there are de-expeditions, that's another screen that comes up here. And this sits there in the background and cycles through each of these screens. So if you're interested, then HamClock, and I'll put the link to the HamClock application. It is Elwood Downing, who is WB0 Oscar Echo Whiskey. HamClock is a kiosk-style application that provides real-time space weather, radio propagation modes, operating events, and other elements. It was featured in October 2017 QST. Can run on a Pi. I've got it running on a little NUC, which is one of my main computers within the shack, and I've just got a screen, a 16:9 screen dedicated to it. The only thing that's it's a little bit tricky to configure, because you compile the HamClock application for the particular size screen that you've got. And that can be a little bit of a pain if you're not used to compiling and all sorts of things. But that's the only negative I've got, negative comment I've got about it. And you can certainly configure it for all sorts of different screen sizes. So depending on the screen that you've got square that you want to display it on, and some of the pictures that appear in the website show it being displayed on an absolutely huge screen, and they have that on a television screen in your shack. So and it does look quite impressive. So yeah, that's HamClock, and I'll put the link in the video description so that people can take a look at it. And it all runs under Linux. Runs really nicely. Doesn't take too many resources away from the rest of the HamShack PC. So yeah, but that's just thought I'd point that out because I've got that running in the background and it runs really nicely. So just to finish off, we're at just over an hour. So space weather. There hasn't been much in the way of space weather, so I won't bring up any of those screens. We've got a standard, advanced and regulations, and there will also be a practical assessment on Saturday. I think we've got 5 people booked for that, so fantastic. There's a few people upgrading, including Ron, who was here in the studio. He's upgrading hopefully to his advanced license, so good luck Ron. Reminder that we've got another Wednesday Experimenters group next Wednesday night. Now next Wednesday night we have Andrew Klekerchuk, Dr. Andrew Klekerchuk coming in. He is an atmospherics physicist. He's talking about the 40th anniversary of the shuttle creating, yes, the space shuttle, remember that? The space shuttle creating a hole in the ionisation layer over Tasmania. So he's got a little presentation on that. That then rolls into a presentation with Rex Moncur VK7MO, who's talking about lightning scatter and a few other atmospheric phenomenon. So that should be an absolutely fascinating Wednesday Experimenters group. So that's next Wednesday night. Starts 7:30 and will be streamed. So and then the Wednesday after that is our presentation night, which is another fantastic presentation by Andrew Johns, VK7AJ, and he's talking about his father's 1950s Antarctic diary. He spent some time at Mawson Base down in Antarctica in 1957 during the geophysical year, the International Geophysical Year, doing cosmic ray experimentation. and he wrote a diary, which is an absolutely fascinating insight into life in Antarctica in the 1950s. So that should be a absolutely fascinating presentation, and that's on August the 6th, so in a fortnight's time. So that's your blooming lot for this week. Just take a bidding. Darren, running on WSL on Windows. So there you go. So it does, HamClock does run on Windows under WSL. So fantastic. Love it. Thanks for that. Okay, that's your blooming lot for this week. Have a fantastic week, and this has been VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, our Wednesday Experimenters Night 73, and we'll catch you in a week's time. Cheers.